Number 4 in our post-spring Big 12 power rankings, the Kansas State Wildcats. And we talked about trustworthy head coaches. Chris Klieman is one of the most trustworthy in this conference. He gets a quarterback back in Avery Johnson, who's a dual threat. Whether or not you want to say him being there last year kind of ran Will Howard out of town and forced him to go join the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, whatever. Dylan Edwards coming in, though, didn't hurt things at the running back position. He's a very, very dynamic running back. Jace Brown at wide receiver is solid. They brought in Jerron Tibbs, we talked about this last episode, another Purdue transfer.
I had that written down, man. What's the deal with these Purdue transfers, bro? All of these. I think previews.
Individually, these guys were amazing, but put together as a team, we're just the only win they had was against Indiana State, and so it's just it's mind-boggling to see the talent that they had on this team, and I guess that speaks volumes to Ryan Walters and his head coaching ability. But some guys are just better off as DCs. But Lance, fill me in on the Kansas State defense this year.
Well, they were obviously, again, they're year in and year out. They're one of the better defenses, in the Big 12. Defensive coordinator Joe Klanderman's back as DC. Austin Romaine was the leading tackler for them last year and was second team All Big 12 at middle linebacker. He's back. But I think what I love the most about this Kansas State defense this year going into the year, their 4 most productive defensive linemen are all back. You're going to love this. I'm going to get it right, too. Chidi Obizior is back at the defensive line. Actually looked it up to make sure I was going to pronounce that right. And defensive tackle Damian Ilalio.
Name pronunciation there.
We're getting there, man. You've been working with me on it. They're all back. So they've got 4 of the most productive defensive linemen, and their top returning tackler, middle linebacker, Austin Romaine, all back. So I expect the front to be really good for K-State. They normally are. Again, they're they're one of those teams that, like we said, they just recruit to their system, have a bunch of just tough, hard-nosed guys that just, make plays, and they're always usually just solid. They're not going to be the dominant or whatever. They're usually just solid. But they've got to replace – I know Dylan Edwards is good, but DJ Giddens was one of the best running backs in the country.
Another Indianapolis Colt.
There you go. What a pickup, dude. Should I get a Colts jersey now, bro? Should I just hop on the bandwagon with you? Tyler Warren, DJ Giddens, let's rock. I mean, come on.
JTT.
Yeah. But, they were second in Big 12 in rushing last year. Obviously, Avery Johnson with his legs helps out a lot with that, and he will again this year. He's really good with the dual threat. Matt Wells, OC, uses him well there. Avery Johnson's got to improve and progress a little more in the passing game. Another full year, obviously, off-season and stuff. I would imagine that he is going to be improved at throwing the football. But with Dylan Edwards and Avery Johnson, that's 2 explosive dudes that can put their face mask on the goalpost at any given moment if they get a little bit of a crease and can get through that first wave of the defense. But a question mark that I have, one of the things that K-State has been honestly as good as anybody out there at the last few years, their offensive line. They don't give up a lot of sacks. They're one of the best teams in the country at not giving up sacks, and they're always run the football well. And their co-offensive coordinator and just stud offensive line coach, Connor Riley, left for the Dallas Cowboys. That's how good he is. The Dallas Cowboys hired him to be their new O-line coach.
Well, Cowboys, whatever.
Yeah, still. Yeah, I know. But still, yeah. But you got to think with Klieman's consistency, he's won at least 8 games every year he's been at Kansas State, other than the COVID year. The last 3 years, he's won 9, 9, and 10. We know what he did at North Dakota State and what just a factory they were and championship program they were when they were there.
Man, I should have asked you this earlier, but
hey, real quick, look at the bottom of this screen and hit that subscribe button for us, please. And also follow us on Apple and Spotify. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it helps us out a ton. We greatly appreciate it.
We're talking about these top 4 teams, Arizona State, BYU, Texas Tech, and Kansas State. As unbiasedly as we can, where do you think those 4 teams, if any, would slot in the SEC and the Big Ten?
Ooh.
Arizona State, for example.
Arizona State?
Yeah, where would they slot in the SEC and the Big Ten? Would Arizona State be ahead of number 8 Oklahoma in the power rankings?
Probably not.
So
Probably
they wouldn't even make
not.
top 8. Would they be ahead of Nebraska or USC in the Big Ten?
Could. Yeah, like again, like an example of this, you see
Probably
a
not
lot of
Illinois.
these. Yeah, I think they would be. Like, I mean, it'd be close. It'd be close. Like, you see a lot of these way too early, rankings, and a lot of these post-spring rankings that we've seen Andy and Ari at On3 put out. We've seen Josh Pate put his out. We've seen ESPN, Greg McElroy, whoever, like all these rankings that people have put out. A lot of them have those teams that you just mentioned. Like, we had Oklahoma at 8 in our, post-spring SEC power rankings. A lot of them did have Oklahoma ranked and theirs ahead. Does that mean that because we all have those teams ranked that they are absolutely better than Arizona State? No.
Well, I think when you look at those rankings, you see Arizona State making the top 25, BYU, Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the cutoff, I think. There's a top 3 in the Big 12 right now preseason. Obviously, we said the conference is volatile. Kansas State, you don't see them really in any top 25. So that's kind of the strength of the conference or lack thereof that we're talking about here at the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, the next team we're going to talk about, I've seen pop up in a few people's rankings. I've only seen K-State pop up in like one maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you won't be very profitable out there if you're trying to doubt Chris Klieman and the Purple Cats. Again, the model of consistency last year, going into the year, it was Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. It was those 3 that everybody was talking about as teams that could possibly win the Big 12. And again, K-State still ended up winning 9 or 10 games last year quietly overall. Avery Johnson back again with another year. Would it shock you at all if Kansas State sitting there at the end of the year playing for the Big 12? I know it wouldn't shock you for a lot of teams. Yeah. But I mean, Kansas State's absolutely one of the favorites to make it to the Big 12 championship game. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.